Normal minds discuss only people. Average minds discuss only events. Great minds discuss only ideas. But a complete mind integrates them all. Welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you've ever been cornered at a party, stuck in this endless mind-numbing gossip loop, or on the flip side, if you've ever sat through a super high-level philosophical debate that just felt completely disconnected from actual reality, well, this is exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're looking at the hidden architecture of how we think, how we talk, and ultimately, how we make sense of the world around us. To do this, we're diving into this absolutely brilliant 2026 framework by Adeniran Akinlembola, a fantastic philosopher and writer out of Lagos, Nigeria. The whole framework is called the complete mind, and Akinlembola basically argues that if you're only discussing people or only focusing on events or strictly living in the realm of ideas, you're getting a fractured, totally incomplete view of reality. True understanding doesn't come from just picking the smartest lane, right? It comes from integration. So let's break down exactly how this works and how you can actually apply it to your own everyday thinking.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You can see how this builds perfectly from top to bottom. Notice how first up, you've got the normal mind, which is hyper-focused entirely on individuals, the who. Then right below that, the average mind, focused on the news and the actual happenings, the what. And below that, you see the great mind, lit up by that light bulb of concepts, the why. But look at that bottom graphic. The complete mind doesn't just throw the others away. No, it's like a giant puzzle. It literally fits the people, the globe for the events, and the light bulb for the ideas, all inside one head. None of these three lanes can really exist in a vacuum.
Section 1. The comfortable defaults. People and events. To really wrap our heads around this framework, we need to start by looking at these first two lanes. Because, let's be honest, this is where the vast majority of our daily human interaction actually lives. Let's compare the two. On the left, we have the normal mind. I actually remember this one family dinner where, for an hour straight, my aunt discussed only people. Who my cousin was dating, what the neighbor said across the fence, who got a weird new haircut. It's just daily life. Then on the right, the average mind. That's kind of like my buddy Mark. Mark will exclusively recite baseball box scores or list off geopolitical events without ever once mentioning how they actually affect anyone. Just facts and happenings. Now, neither of these is bad. They're deeply human, and they're absolutely necessary for us to connect with each other. But on their own, they give us a totally fractured view of the world, because events without people or ideas just turn into surface-level data.
Section 2. The great mind. The power and peril of ideas. Because when you add concepts to the mix, you enter some much rarer territory. You elevate the conversation. But, as we'll see, living exclusively in that space carries a very specific, quiet danger. Now, what's really interesting here is the inherent flaw in what we usually consider to be peak intelligence. The great mind discusses only ideas, concepts, frameworks, sweeping theories. And yes, it is incredibly powerful, but abstraction has a perilous blind spot. Think about it. If you're fiercely debating the economic theory behind a recession, but you're completely ignoring the actual families losing their homes, you're treating lived trauma purely as a conceptual math problem. It's dangerous. The great mind, all on its own, can so easily become cold, insensitive, and frankly pretty inhumane. It risks completely losing sight of actual human pain and lived reality.
Section 3. The complete mind. Integration and relativity. So if each individual lane is a kind of incompleteness, what's the actual answer? Well, it's a mind that flat out refuses to pick just a single lane.
The absolutely crucial point here is relational reality. Akinlembola states that what we see depends entirely on the frame we're looking through. The deeper truth of literally any situation only fully emerges when you hold the people, the events, and the ideas together in tension. You don't just average them out, you integrate them. The framework beautifully compares this to the philosophical essence of relativity, but applied directly to human thought itself. Reality isn't just one static thing, right? It's the active relationship between the who, the what, and the why.
Section 4. Principles 03. The functional hierarchy. Let's look at how this builds. Because at this point, you might be wondering, okay, do I really have to give an equal 33% weight to people, events, and ideas every single second of the day? And the answer is a resounding no. The universe has a structural order to it. Not all frames carry equal weight in every single moment. For instance, in a context of grief, the people frame simply must lead. If a friend loses a loved one, that is definitely not the time to bring up abstract philosophical ideas about human mortality, right? No way. You focus on the person. But let's analyze a massive historical event like the Apollo 11 moon landing. Functionally, the event leads the historical record, humanity actually stepping foot on the moon.
But a complete mind reads this history by bringing the other frames into the room. You can't fully understand that landing without the ideas, that intense geopolitical chess game of the Cold War, and the people, Neil, Buzz, and the thousands of incredibly anxious engineers on the ground. You let the event lead, for sure, but you integrate the rest to find the full truth.
Which brings us to Section 5, Principles 02, Sensitivity Stays On. So if we're constantly shifting between these frames, how do we stop ourselves from slipping back into that cold, detached abstraction? How do we balance this in our day-to-day lives?
True integration requires setting aside your ego and your tribal loyalty, and honestly, that's way harder than it sounds. Sensitivity here isn't about being fragile, not at all. It's an active, robust tether that keeps those high-level ideas humane. It's exactly what keeps our abstraction honest. So here's some practical tips for your daily life. First, try doing a quick frame audit. Next time you find yourself super deep in a heated, abstract debate about some political policy, really living in that great mind idea space, just hit pause. Ask yourself, what frame am I in right now? If you're stuck in the idea frame, force yourself to ask, okay, how does this policy actually impact a specific, real person? Actively tether that abstract idea right back to the human heart.
Notice that infinity loop connecting the red people circle, the green events circle, and the blue ideas circle. The complete mind integrates them all. Instead of being my aunt at dinner or my friend Mark obsessing over his box scores, a truly complete thinker recognizes that ideas live inside people. Events happen through bodies, and people are fundamentally shaped by both the events they live through and the ideas they believe. Full understanding only ever emerges when you consciously invite all three frames into the room, letting them interact and deeply inform one another.
So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Which frame is leading your mind right now? Are you stuck in the comfortable default of just discussing people? Are you feeling completely overwhelmed by the endless data of daily events? Or maybe you're a bit detached, floating up there in the abstract world of ideas. The next time you enter a conversation, I challenge you, notice your default lane and actively pull the other frames into the room. Because a complete mind doesn't settle for fragments, it integrates them all. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.